Following program is for training purposes in TV news education. Some copyrighted material is used and is credited on screen. However, no more was taken than was necessary to tell the story of the event. YBA claims fair use of materials.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly, and this is my weekly sports blog. And yes, it is about hockey. But this week, it was more than just sports. Starting with a return to normalcy Wednesday night against the Buffalo Sabres. An amazing sight. The fans stood up and sung the national anthem loud. We are Boston, and you don't mess with our city. Now, down to business. Matt Cook delivered a cheap shot on Adam McQuaid in the game yesterday. And as you'll see here, he goes low. Matt Cook, do not do that. You are making a mockery of the sport I love. There is no room for that kind of play. You cannot continue to do this, or else hockey will just lose its popularity. That's what's going to happen. You're going to bankrupt our sport more than Gary Bettman, and that's a tall task. Anyway, Milan Lucic, he's underperforming this year. I really don't know what it is, really. He's only has 6 goals and 18 assists. He's playing the same physical way he's doing, but he's playing so stupidly. If the Bruins want to make a deep run, he has to play better. And speaking of underperforming, how about Tuukka Rask? I mean, most of the goals he gives up are soft goals. He has the stats, but he can't make that big save that Tim Thomas used to make. And if he can't get together, if he can't make that big save, I'm not sure if the Bruins will make it out of the first round. But let's just hope the Bruins can get it together for the end of the season. I'm Tom Kelly. See you next time.
Well, this has been an up and down week for the Bruins. They won today, lost the 2 games before that. It's obviously been an emotional week, but definitely an up and down week for them.
Yeah, very up and down week. Up and down, you could say, second half to this short season by the Bruins. I mean, I'm a huge Bruins fan myself. My confidence in this team right now is minimal. I mean, they can't score on the power play. Jaromir Jagr is a great, excellent, one of the greatest of all time goal scorers, don't get me wrong. He's too slow to go on a power play or be on the same line as a Sagan and a Marchand. He can score goals, but right now this team isn't coming up with goals, and they have 40 to 45 shots on net every single night. No matter how good your goaltenders have been in the past years or even up to this point in the season, you can't have that many shots on net. So everything for this Bruins team right now, it looks like they're struggling with. And I think they might make a very quick exit in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year.
Yeah, and one of the things that had been so consistent for them throughout the season was their power play. I think they were like first in goals that they had given up while they were shorthanded. They gave up 2 against Pittsburgh, and those were essentially the reasons why they lost, including one to Iginla, who easily could have and should have been on the Bruins, but then he chose Pittsburgh. So, yeah, that's definitely been a struggle for them lately, and their goalies have been up and down. Hudobin did well in the first game back against Buffalo, just giving up 1 in the shootout, which they ended up losing, and then Rask had the shutout today, but their goalies have not been as consistent as of late.
Well, there's 8 days left in the season, guys. You kind of touched on it. How do you see them doing in the playoffs?
I think this team might go deep and win their first-round playoff game right now, considering they're the 4th seed. But anything after that, they'd be lucky. They'd be lucky to win a game in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs because the Bruins, I mean, like, they can't score on the power play. Great teams consistently score on the power play. The number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now has an excellent power play, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And, yeah, that's pretty disappointing. And now the Bruins are actually the 3 seed as of now. And maybe they can make a run as the 3 seed and win their first Stanley Cup playoff series, but they're too inconsistent on offense and on defense.
Yeah, I think their biggest issue is going to be their goaltending. I mentioned that it's been up and down with 2 young goaltenders and with a lot of pressure. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get enough offensive support for their young goaltenders in the playoffs, especially the fact that they haven't been able to score on the power play all year, and now defensively killing penalties has started to become an issue.
I mean, when you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you see the same team for up to 7 games, and you play often, and you play the best teams considering they're in the playoffs. You play the best teams in the National Hockey League. And the best teams usually have the best defenses. And if you can't take advantage of most power plays by getting at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 shots on net, that's disappointing. You're not going to win many games because the intensity is going to be up. There's going to be more hitting. The game's going to be played much faster. You need to take advantage of every opportunity. And right now, the Bruins aren't doing that.
Because I think for the whole season, the biggest Bruins problem has been they haven't had that it factor, you know what I mean? That one player who can just take over a game. And I see flashes of it in Tyler Seguin, but he has yet to advance to that next level.
Yeah, he showed it more in the beginning of the year.
Right. And I think eventually he will progress to being that it guy, but right now he hasn't been that guy. And without that guy, it's tough to see this team playing well, especially remember the first week of the season? They didn't lose in regular whatever you call it, regular time for a while. So I mean, this team has potential, but I just don't think they've unleashed their full potential.
Yeah, now we're going to change. We're still going to talk about Bruins. We're going to talk about that national anthem the day after the Boston Marathon. John, you were there. Can you tell us about your experience with that?
I mean, it was truly just a magical moment, one of the most special moments I've ever been a part of. As you see it here, going into the game, we knew some big ceremony was going to happen. We were expecting something. We didn't want it over the top. And listening to Melchior Felger on the way in, he's saying, I want this big national anthem from Rene Rancourt, and I think we all wanted that. And coming in, we're expecting that big anthem from him. And kudos to him. He turns it over to the crowd. The crowd belts out. And like I mentioned earlier, you hear about the unity, Boston strong, and in that moment right there, I think that just captured it, how strong and resilient the city really is. And it was truly a magical, unbelievable moment. And I remember just we were in the box, and just everyone in the box was just talking about how unbelievable, how special that moment was. And I'm so happy and grateful that I was there for that moment.
Yeah, and it sounded like it created a sense of community.
Definitely.
And, it was saying, the crowd was basically saying, we're very upset about what happened, but we're Bostonians, we're Americans, and nothing is going to stop us.
Yeah, I mean, hearing 17,000 strong sing that national anthem was one of the most emotional, moving things, to be honest, I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it's good enough they had Rene there, who's pretty much a Boston national anthem great. And if there was a Hall of Fame, he'd definitely be in it. He started off singing his normal, strong national anthem, and then the fans took over, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I mean, in a small Boston garden with 17,000 people jam-packed like that, it was unbelievable. I mean, that's when everything really sunk in, and I realized that we should be proud to be Bostonians. We should be proud that we are this resilient as a group of people, and that there is going to be something positive. We are going to catch these terrorists.
And they did.
They did. So now we have to change topics to something a little more lighthearted. Jason, I've heard you've been interested in watching some toe wrestling. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so it's basically like arm wrestling except with your feet. So you compete in something called like the toadium, which you can see in this video right now, and participants, they interlock their big toes and try to force the other person's foot onto the ground, much like arm wrestling, and kind of try to turn it over to the side. It began in Great Britain in 1976, and it consists of 3 rounds. The first round, you need to win 2 of the 3 rounds. The first round, you wrestle with the right foot. Second round, with the left foot. And then, if necessary, the third round, once again with the right foot. And you can see a picture of Alan Nasty Nash, his nickname, and he's won multiple championships. And one time he had 9 broken toes, but he still won it. And with wrestling possibly out of the Olympics, maybe toe wrestling should take over wrestling. So do you guys think toe wrestling should be an Olympic sport?
I mean, it looks like it. Right now I'm pretty intimidated watching that guy in the gold mask win that toe wrestling match. I definitely would not want to mess with him. Just the phenomenal lower body strength of these athletes is ridiculous. I'm a huge fan myself. Hopefully it can take over some professional wrestling on some sports. Maybe some ESPN2 or maybe
ESPN
some...
8 the Ocho.
Yeah, the Ocho, I was going to say that. Maybe ESPN 8 the Ocho will carry it. But hopefully we can see some D1 teams be put together soon. I'm excited.
Jason, have you ever competed in toe wrestling?
No, I've not. This shows the power of the internet. You just search random sports and this comes up.
I'm afraid to search the internet now after you found toe wrestling on there.
I kind of want to try this out. This looks interesting. I mean, There needs to be a new Olympic sport, right? No wrestling. Why not throw toe wrestling in?
Exactly.
It's got some potential.
If you have curling,
why not
toe wrestling?
I'd rather watch a toe wrestling match than curling.
It is. It's very competitive.
Jason, do you have a new nickname?
No, I do not. I'm not a toe wrestler. I just searched I searched random sports or weird sports on the internet, and this came up. But it's apparently very competitive, especially in Britain. As I mentioned, it began in 1976, and they have people from all around the world, people from Australia, China, from every corner of planet Earth to participate in the toe wrestling championships.
Sounds like an excellent sport for Rex Ryan. I mean, his teams have been struggling as of late in the past year or so. Maybe he gets fired by the New York Jets and maybe becomes a professional toe wrestler. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe Mark Sanchez will have to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, at least that's a sport where you can't throw interceptions.
Yeah, or you can't have a butt fumble.
Yeah, exactly. You can't butt fumble in toe wrestling. So.
But these guys seem resilient. What do you say? They got 9 broken toes and he still goes on to win? Like, we need some of that in some of these sports. You know, guys have like little injuries. Like, oh, this guy had 9 broken toes, and you won a competition where you need your toes.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It is.
That is pretty impressive. Right now, we're going to move on to our sports video of the week. Excellent video. You see Bob Burnquist here in his home country, Brazil, doing a 720 on a skateboard to take home the gold in big air. Absolutely phenomenal. Great athletes in this X Games. The first international X Games as well. And Bob Burnquist, one of the all-time skateboarding greats, takes it home in his home country. Guys, how do you feel about the X Games and Bob Burnquist?
Well, I'll tell you something. That's something I never think I'll ever be able to do. That would just be scary.
I would never even want to walk down one of those skateboard ramps, to be honest with you.
Being on top would be scary.
Yeah. The body control of these athletes, and they're absolutely fearless, excellent athletes.
Yeah, that's true. It was amazing and very nice that he was able to do it in his own country in the X Games. And it's very exciting. The X Games is one of those sports where you don't really know what's going to happen. You see, all the bikers, the skaters, but you don't know what trick they're going to perform. So. Definitely sure the fans got their money's worth.
Yeah, and it's not like if you mess up your trick, it hurts your batting average. If you mess up your trick, it could cost you potentially your life or a bunch of broken bones or a concussion. So the risk these guys put on to take, or the risk they take to put on this excellent show that is the X Games, phenomenal.
Well, guys, I think we've covered everything today, from Walter McCarty singing, toe wrestling, little Celtics in there, believe it or not.
Some Bruins.
Some Bruins in there. So we had a pretty good show today. For Jason and Ben, I'm John Hand. Also, thank you to Walter McCarty for coming in today. We'll see you next time.